the 411, folks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 411 podcast. I'm Pat Daly. To my right, Mr. Michael Quachamani.
It is a pleasure to be here.
And below me, Mr. Will Casey.
Happy to be here, as always.
Boys, we're in a little bit of a different environment this week,
we
but
are.
how are we? How are we doing?
Hey, I'm in a great mood today. I don't know about you guys. Having a good day.
It's
a Friday,
podcast
feeling
day.
great.
How can you not be in a good mood on podcast day?
Podcast day. We're feeling good. We're ready. We're energized. We're having fun. Let's do this thing.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm having major
first,
deja vu, I will say.
Yes.
Not me. No deja vu for me.
No deja vu for Will.
Kid's locked in. He's built different. So
Yeah.
we have a great podcast for you. Per usual, we're going to be reviewing Patriots Jets. Was there good stuff to talk about there? Was there good stuff to see? We don't know. We'll talk about it. Next up, Pats Ravens, obviously hard game.
I think that one will
we'll
be
talk
quick.
about it. We'll get into it. Will, I wouldn't be so sure. Next,
Okay.
Next we're going to be doing trade for and trade away. So we're going to be getting two guys, obviously, middle of the season, and now crazy as it is, to the end of the season for fantasy. We're getting there. We're getting close. This is the time, playoffs are coming up. You got to make some moves. And finally, we're talking MVP candidates as of now. And I hope we're unanimous, but we'll see.
I doubt it. Have we ever unanimous on the 411 podcast ever?
No, we have before, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Not frequent.
Yeah. No,
So,
it's not.
I want to first hand this off to Mike. Pats Jets. How do we feel?
I mean, look, you almost lost to the Jets. You were down by 10 in the fourth quarter, but I guess a win is a win. I'm not going to knock them too hard on it.
A win is a goddamn win.
Especially with a win. I will say this. I got two major takeaways from this. Jacoby Myers looks really good. He really does. I'm starting to second question why he hasn't had a larger role more earlier. I hope that he can continue this high level production in the near future. Damian Harris looks really explosive. And right now, I did not know this. He is the number 2 ranked running back in the league, according to Pro Football Focus, since he came off of IR. I think that us Patriots fans knew he was playing well, but I don't know if anybody knew that he was playing this well. Let's see if they can just carry the momentum.
I agree. If you don't mind, I'd like to build off that. I like to say how weeks ago I said Damian Harris. He really had 71 yards on 14 carries. He did get injured. I think he would have had another 100-yard game.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was well on his way for that.
He was
high praise.
He averaged 5.1 yards per carry on only 14 carries. I'm impressed. I like him.
Very high praise.
Hoping he'll be healthy for next week.
Yeah.
Look, that's what I'm hoping too. Damian Harris. I like Will has said. I really like Damian Harris. And we'll talk about it, but it's going to be, I think, a very important part of this week's game against the Ravens.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Well,
Mike,
going on the topic of Damian Harris's injury, before we hopped on the podcast, Will was like, so is Damian Harris going to play this week? And Pat's like, he'll play. He'll get out there. So hopefully he will get out there. He has been limited back-to-back.
He got a nice pop.
Yeah. Oh, my God, he did. Do you see him? It looked like he hit like a brick wall. Oh, my God. It was a little startling, but he's limited Thursday. I think he's going to play according to the report. So hopefully we'll see Damian Harris out there. But but he's got a tough matchup coming up against Baltimore, I will say.
Yes, he does. Look,
go ahead.
So I was just saying final thoughts for the Pats Jets for me, and we'll go around the horn. Like Mike said, a win's a win, but is it? That's what I'm going to leave you with. Will.
A win is a win. Thank God we know we can at least win a football game. However, it was an 0-9 team. Jacoby Myers is looking up. Incredible. I always thought he was supposed to be real good, but he never got the shot. Even Damiere Byrd had a good game. For some reason, our young guys I think they're starting to build some chemistry. They're all new. I don't have a good outlook for next week, though.
No, I don't either.
Mike?
Look, it's again, like we've said it now 5 times. A win is a win. You put up like 7 points in the first quarter, which is the most we've put up all season.
Hey, we
combined
scored in a
every
first
game.
quarter.
Exactly. That's really never. We haven't had an offensive touchdown all season. We'll get into that for the Ravens game, but I don't know. I don't like the feeling of being down by 10 in the fourth quarter to the New York Jets with a backup quarterback.
Might be something we got to
All
get
very
used
valid. Very true, Will. All very valid. Let's get to Pat's Ravens. We got a lot to talk about here. I want to start with Will. Go ahead, man.
Listen, it's gonna be tough. The Ravens historically, well, maybe we've had a tough time versus the Ravens, especially Lamar Jackson's not having the season we thought he would. However, I still think he's an elite quarterback, or still has the potential to be an elite quarterback.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if he's an elite quarterback.
It's real simple. If we can barely beat an 0-9 team like that, we ain't beating the Ravens.
Yeah, no, I agree with Will this time. I don't think the Patriots will win, but I do have a few essentials that the Pats must do in order to make this game competitive. I've got 3. My first one is going to be don't start sluggish. That's what the Patriots did versus the Jets. Luckily, it was the Jets, so they were able to come back. But right now, they rank dead last in the league in first quarter points with only 10 on the season. That's not good. My second one is they have to limit the ground attack. The Ravens, obviously, we all know this. It's no secret. They have a very, very good run game. Mark Ingram is rumored to be coming back this week. It's just another piece that they're able to use against this Patriots front seven. The Ravens aren't even close to the same team when they have the run game. You have to force Lamar Jackson. You have to force his arm to beat you rather than his legs. Force him to throw the ball to Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews and make them make plays.
Right.
That was like poetry.
And you know what? I was just Mike. I was just gonna say completely off this year, and his pass game just has not been good. It's pretty much just as simple as that. It just hasn't.
Tell me about
been
it.
good.
He's on my He's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's on your bench. You
Will
benched
spent
him for
a pretty
Tom.
high pick for him.
All right. Tom scored 2 points last week. I lost by less than a point.
0.12.
And now my playoff hopes might be dashed. Anyway, that's for another time.
So, look, more to Mike's point, just for any chance that the Patriots could make this competitive, the game changer for me, like kind of coattailing with what Will was saying, for me is going to be Damian Harris. I'm expecting a big game from him if he plays. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Obviously, a really talented player from the moment he's been back. So I'm expecting a big game from him. Like Mike was saying, I think a couple things need to happen. The Pats D, and I feel like a broken record, and I feel like I keep saying, like, we got to play like we did against the Seahawks, but, like, is that really even possible anymore?
I've been wondering the same thing lately.
I wouldn't want to mirror their defensive effort. I mean, they gave up 35 points, like 5 touchdowns to receivers.
I'm offense and defensive. I'm referring to the Chiefs game.
Gotcha.
We stopped Patrick Mahomes. Like, why can't we do that? Again.
I'd like to speak to that. I think it's because the Patriots have been so dominant over 20 years. Nobody expected them. Nobody really deep down expected us to be as horrible as we are.
Yeah. They just don't look good this year. We've talked about this in past podcasts, but, like, try to name a good player they have on offense. Obviously, names like Jacoby Myers and Damian Harris have, emerged as of late. But again, like, Jacoby Myers emerged
stars
because of the Jets game. Like, I said it before the game, like, please don't think that, like, this team's going to just magically, all their playoff hopes now. Like, no, they're not. They beat the Jets, and they barely beat the Jets at that.
So to both of your points, I think the Pats defense needs to show up like they did against the Chiefs. I think the Pats offense needs to show up like they did against the Seahawks. We didn't really talk about this much with the Jets, but just a little bit to how Cam played. What do we think about it?
Cam ranks really high up in a lot of bad statistics. Like, he throws a ton of picks. He has a very low QBR. I don't know. Again, it's the Jets. He, like, as of late, he hasn't been playing that well. He's turned the ball over a lot. There's not a whole lot of things to like. I said earlier, like, I don't like when Cam Newton throws the ball. I get anxiety. It's not a good thing. I don't know if it's more about his skill or just the ability of the receivers we have. I don't know.
And one more thing that the Patriots need to do, or Jacoby Myers needs to do, is he needs to run or needs to get at least 120 yards, in my opinion.
That's a tall order.
if the Patriots want to be in this game, he needs to go for at least 120 yards.
I don't know. I'm not sure if Jacoby Myers necessarily needs to do that. I think that if they're going to win this game, Newton's going to have to go over 300 passing, whether that's Jacoby Myers or anybody. I think it's got to be Newton.
He will not. He will not.
But
he might not even break 2.
But I'm not giving up on my Patriots yet.
Oh no! Don't tell me you have them.
No. I think. Of course, I'm not giving up on the Patriots.
I'm not giving up on them either. But Pat, do you have
ladies and gentlemen?
Let's hear it.
Oh no!
Patriots win 30-27. Go Pats! This is a weak Lamar Jackson. This is a hurting Ravens team. Let's go in Foxborough. Come on.
This is the energy I've been waiting on for Pat this entire podcast, but it's
we need the Patriots players to have that type of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
I'm feeling weirdly good about this game. I don't know why. I don't know how, but this is a Ravens team that we didn't see last year. There are holes. People have figured out a way to stop Lamar Jackson.
But they're still a 6-2 football team, and Lamar Jackson.
And they're still a good team. And I don't think that the Patriots fully represent their record. I don't.
I think they're worse than the record, if I'm being honest.
What?
Dude, they haven't been playing well. They've lost to bad teams.
Dude.
They barely scraped by the Jets.
Come on.
I might have to agree with Mike on that one.
Patriots. All right, Pat. Here's the thing. Pat. I will say this. After the Chiefs game, when they were like, I want to say it was 2-3, then yeah, I would agree with you. They're not an accurate representation because we were sitting there in that shed saying, if they have Cam Newton, they win that game. Well, since then, they've lost to the Broncos, got blown out by the 49ers, barely beat the Jets, lost awfully to the Bills. Like, there's just so many negatives that have come over the last month. It's really, you may be right, dude, but it's really hard to say that this team is as good as 3-5, if not even better than a 3-5 football team.
I think that the New England Patriots, and I'm not saying, when I say this, I'm not saying like steal the New England Patriots. In Bill we trust still. I think Bill can break down this Ravens team. I still have the Patriots winning. Let's do this. And I know I'm an optimist. I know that, but roll Pats. Michael, prediction.
Even an
score
optimist,
prediction.
I don't know. Look, I've got the Ravens winning this one. I don't think it's gonna be by a lot. I don't think it's gonna be by as much as I would say after they lost to the Broncos or the Niners. But I will say I think they're going to lose to the Ravens 27-17. I don't know.
A modest score. Will?
We got a spread of 7 this week and an over-under of, I believe, 42-5. I'm saying the Patriots do not come out on top. Ravens by 2 touchdowns, 28-14.
Wow. Zoinks. All right.
Zoinks.
Very fair. Very fair. We'll see what happens there. Let's transition into fantasy. My favorite segment. Trade. What?
Speaking of fantasy, I've got something I'd like to show you guys. We've got the Lombardi Trophy.
The FFL.
Yeah.
That is good looking. And I think I'm going to take it back this year.
That's
so.
That is
You'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands.
That's right.
1 game away last year. 1 game.
This close. So,
sorry, Mike.
Trade for and trade away. I want to start with Will. Will, what do you got for us? And Mike and all of us, thumbs up, agree, thumbs down, disagree.
All right. So I'm going a little bit unconventional. As you know, I love my injury pickups. Now, Nick Chubb's coming back this week. By no means, do not start him. Kareem Hunt's the back there. It's his job. Nick Chubb is back. Look for him on your waivers. And maybe if you want to trade for him, maybe do that. Kareem Hunt's good. I'm not going to deny that, but something about these injury pickups always works out.
So you're saying snag Nick Chubb.
Do not start him. Please don't.
Oh no. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm with that.
Grab him off the waivers. Maybe trade a low bench pick for him. You know.
Look, obviously, I'm with that. I think obviously Kareem Hunt is, like Will said, the back there.
Yes.
Chubb
It's
was
his
playing.
job.
Chubb was playing good before he got
He was
injured,
playing
though.
very well, yeah.
Really, really good. Both of them were playing sick. It was really a two-headed monster, as I like to say, Mike.
I like that.
Mike, what do you think about this?
Nick Chubb has played 3.5 games. We are in week 10. Nick Chubb still leads the league in 20-plus yard carries through week 10, and he's played 3.5 games.
Holy.
That's what I'm going to leave it with. Will has him on his team, so I don't blame him for, talking him up. I would talk him up too. I know he had games of like 26 and 28 before he went down. He's a fantastic running back. I'm a huge Kareem Hunt fan, and even when Chubb comes back, I still think Hunt is good for 12 to 16 points on any given week. But yeah, that's Chubb's backfield when he's fully healthy, and he's going to take command over it at some point and maybe win you your championship this year.
There it is. Will, hit us with it.
All right, I've got a second kind of lower draft pick guy, Jacoby Myers. Pick him up off the waivers.
Wow.
Another low trade. You won't have to trade for him. Nobody has him. Pick him up off the waivers. He's been looking great these past few weeks. He's never got the opportunity until all these Patriots wide receivers and players got hurt. Maybe we'll see a DK Metcalf esque.
Wow. And Pat has left.
No. Do not agree with that, Will. DK Metcalf-esque?
Yeah, sure.
Come on, man.
Just
DK
off
Metcalf,
the cuff.
Jacoby Myers, those are two very different people.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll have to
All
see.
right. Yeah, but
No, I
no,
think-
I'm definitely with that. I like the Jacoby Myers call. I think, like we said, if the Patriots want to win this game, they got to sling the ball. Cam's got to be able to throw. I know there's been a little bit of nervousness when it comes to Cam Newton throwing the ball, but
Still don't know if I'd
have to.
start him. Still don't know if I'd start him, but definitely go grab him.
Yeah, so I actually picked him up in our league.
see what happens.
And I'm not starting him this week. Baltimore's tough. Baltimore has a really good defense, so I'm not starting him. I do think the Patriots can find themselves behind in this game at some point. So Jacoby Myers might shift to a more pass-heavy offense, and then obviously that favors Jacoby Myers a lot, being the number one receiver there. Crazy we're saying that right now, but Jacoby Myers is the number one receiver there. So look, I think that he can find himself ran into the game script depending on how this game goes, but I would not start him this week.
I'd say he's a stream option if you're desperate for a flex.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you've got a ton of bye weeks, you're a desperate, ton of injuries, and you're in like a 14-person league, then go out and start Jacoby Myers.
Right. All right, Mike, let's hear it.
All right, so my trade for is somebody that I traded for. It's going to be Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. Here's the thing. I traded with somebody in this podcast. His name goes by Pat Daly. Now, here's the thing. Just to put it in perspective, the trade was this. I traded away Zeke Elliott for David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson. So I traded for Zeke Elliott for David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson. Zeke Elliott would not go for this a month ago. He wouldn't go for this 2 months ago. So I'm thinking to myself, his price is so low, why not? Right? If you are, top of your league, you got nothing to worry about, or you got a really good running back core.
You are not top of the league.
I am not.
I was just about to say.
I'm not. But my running backs are Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders. So let's say Zeke wasn't going to work out. That's okay, because he's not necessarily I'm not depending on him for this. I'm not depending 15 points in my game. Right.
Also, both David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson, the players that he traded for, were on his bench. So no, it was definitely a fair trade on both Michael and my part.
Definitely a good trade. I agree with that trade, but I don't know if I'd personally go after Zeke.
Me neither. That's why I traded him.
his production just fell off a mountain after Dak got hurt.
It absolutely did.
It's hard to ignore that. It's really hard to ignore that.
You're completely right.
I guess his value is super low. So we'll see what happens.
I'm in a place right now where I need to
if you're able to make a move for him, make a move for him.
Yeah.
I like it.
Why not?
Mike, second guy.
All right, so my trade away guy is somebody who is actually putting up pretty good numbers right now, but I'm not a fan. Will Fuller wide receiver for the Texans. Fuller has seen not a steep drop, but he's seen a drop in targets over the last few weeks as Pat's receiver, Brandon Cooks, has started to emerge in that offense.
I just said that. I snagged Brandon Cooks a couple weeks ago, and I'm very happy about it.
So Fuller has actually he's the 13th ranked wide receiver in the league. I don't know. I'm really not a fan. At one point during his schedule, he gets New England with Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, and then Detroit with Darius Slay, Indianapolis, who's the number 5 ranked, Chicago, who's number 3 ranked, Indianapolis again, who, like I said, is number 5 ranked. That's a tough schedule coming up, and he's proven that he's not very good against tough matchups. So we'll have to see how he fares. But if I think his value is so high, I'd get rid of him.
You got to think about it like this. And as Michael was saying, you have guys like, this is completely unrelated, but like Tyreek Hill, let's say, where even against tough teams that are like in the red, he's still going to put up points. Obviously, Will Fuller is one of those guys. Like it's week to week. It depends. So I'm totally with that, and especially when you're on a close playoff berth, when you're almost, you know what I mean. That's you can't risk with guys like that.
Yeah. And just sorry, Will, I'll let you say in a second, but especially his weeks are 12, 13, and 14. That's the end of the regular season. Those tough weeks I'm referring to. You don't want those, you're one of your top players to be having extremely tough matchups weeks 13, 14, and 15 when you're potentially making the playoffs. Will?
Exactly.
I honestly really like Will Fuller. It's weird. He's not a top guy by any means, but he does produce in the playoffs. Okay. It's a weird thing. He shines when you wouldn't expect him to. He's always a low-key player who you don't hear much about in the news, but when you look at his numbers, it's always solid and consistent.
Very true. Very true.
It's a good point. I don't
have a solid opinion, but I like Will Fuller.
I'm still throwing a thumbs up to Mike. I like the Will Fuller trade away. I have Cooks. I have firsthand experience. Cooks is doing really, really well right now. And I think his production is going to go up.
And to Will's point, obviously the numbers look good. So, trading a guy who doesn't have a week less than like 12 or 14 points on the year is something that's really hard to do, because it seems like in the NFL today, it's really hard to find consistency. And that's where I kind of agree with Will. But the matchups I'm a matchup guy.
You can't ignore the matchups. I agree.
Exactly. You can't ignore it. So that's why I'm saying trade away.
I'm not as much of a matchup guy as you guys, but it's not something you can ignore. I'm also not one to disagree with Michael. He's got a record.
So
3-6
to close out our fantasy section. All right. So my pick is going to be Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. So here's the deal. This is a bit unappealing because of the fumble last week that obviously was very costly. The only challenging team they have left in their schedule, based off of the defensive stopping of the run, is the Steelers. That's literally it. This is a great opportunity to swipe at them because the Colts just beat Michael Quattromani's AFC predicted champion.
I renounced that. It was dumb. All right. I already got rid of that.
All right. Fair. That's fair. I didn't know that.
My only issue with that is Nyheim Hines. He's been getting the ball a little bit more as of lately.
Yeah.
I know Taylor used to be the number one guy, used to get the ball, but after the bye week, that seems to have changed. I think his last 3 weeks have been like 5, 9, and 5.
Yeah, that
I don't know if that's due to Hines getting more carries, but I don't know. I do like the matchups. I'd say maybe give him a shot.
All right, Mike, how do we feel?
I don't know. I was really high on him earlier in the season. He hasn't had a game over 12 carries, which isn't really that crazy, but he hasn't had a game over 12 carries since week 4. That's really concerning to me. And like Will said, just perfectly, right after the bye, his carries have been 11, 6, and 7. That's not good. And look, he has a beautiful schedule coming up, but if he's not getting the volume and opportunities to be able to, capitalize on those matchups, then it's really not going to matter at all. Another thing, we've been throwing around Hines' name a lot. Jordan Wilkins had 1 week where he had like 20 carries. He's having, for some reason, dude, he had 20 carries. Like, that's a big part of this offense. And for 20 carries,
if you watched Wilkins last night, he got a number of carries too.
Yes, and I mean, 20 carries is a lot because Jonathan Taylor has only seen over 20 carries once in his NFL career, and that came in week 2. So
on Thursday night, excuse me, not last night.
Yeah,
Thursday night.
He hasn't seen a game over, over 20 carries since week 2. Hasn't seen a game over 12 since week 4. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of negatives to go with Jonathan Taylor.
The matchups are there. So if he's going to pick it back up this season, now's the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Hines has been super disappointing. He can get all the carries that he wants, but Hines has been pretty disappointing in my opinion. Especially with fantasy.
really
He's had over 20 in 2 of the last 3.
Yeah.
20 carries or 20 points?
Points.
No way. I didn't even know that.
He's the 30th ranked running
the middle
back
game.
right
The
now.
middle game wasn't great, but in 2 of the last 3,
Yeah, so over his last 3, he's had 21, 5, and 28.
5. That's scary. That's inconsistent.
That's very spotty, very inconsistent. I still
No,
think
but
take a shot.
I'm not saying he's a guy you want to go out and pick up, obviously. I'm just saying he's still taking away carries from Jordan Wilkins. Jonathan Taylor. Forgot his name for a second.
All right. All fair. I still got Taylor having a solid week, and I think you should try to snag him if you have the spot. My trade away is going to be Adam Thielen. Yep. I'm going to say the names of 3 teams. That's all I'm going to do. New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
it's
Chicago
matchups,
Bears.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Those are the 3 teams that Adam Thielen and the Vikings will be playing when fantasy playoffs will be happening. That's the fantasy schedule. All of those teams are in the top half against receivers in the National Football League.
Yeah,
that's all I have to know. That is all I have to know. Right now, you need to make moves for playoffs, obviously, especially now. The only green matchup they have right now is the Cowboys in the remaining schedule. Everything they have is either black, which is neutral, or red, which is not good. He's off of a 5-point gain against the Lions. Get rid.
I agree. I like that. He was very consistent earlier this season, put up some great numbers. But again, after the bye, for some reason, he's had 27 yards, 38 yards, both under 6 fantasy points.
Teams regroup.
Yeah, I like that. Double thumbs up from me.
I like it for not even just the matchup reason or anything that's been said, but dude, look at Dalvin Cook.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook has been tearing up the NFL. He's a potential MVP candidate.
Tearing it up.
We'll get into that in a second. But Thielen's numbers have gone down. Justin Jefferson's numbers have gone down. And I'm not a fan of Thielen.
I'm just now looking at Cook's numbers.
Yeah. He's
holy crap.
Yeah, he's
250 all-purpose yards last week. Almost 250 all-purpose yards the week before. And 4, am I reading that right? 4 touchdowns in week 8?
He's still the number 2 running back.
Yeah, you're reading that right.
Bonkers to me.
That's insane. Wow.
It's insane.
All right, continue. That was crazy to me.
No, but my final thoughts are pretty much everything that we've all said balled in one. Matchup, poor weeks in the past. Like I said, matchups in the future. And Dalvin goddamn Cook. Holy crap, he's so good. That's all I gotta say.
The problem with Thielen and selling him right now is that obviously anybody can see, green is good, red is bad. They can see all the bad matchups that Thielen has and all the very few good matchups that he does have. So it's gonna be really hard to move on from him, especially after having back-to-back 5-point games. But Pat looks that he's very, trying to think of the word right now. He get rid of him. Basically, that's what it is, and I trust Pat.
Wow,
I trust
thanks,
Pat on
Mike.
that one too.
Good
we
stuff.
all agreed.
There it is. All thumbs up for
Look
that.
at that.
So to wrap it up, we have early MVP predictions. I want to start with Mike.
Russell Wilson.
Let's hear it.
Wilson.
Enough said.
Russell Wilson. Look, Russell Wilson.
You guys both went with Russ.
Uh-oh.
You guys both went with Russ.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
He would be my number 2.
Ooh, okay.
I think the NFL would be absolute ludicrous if Patrick Mahomes does not win MVP this year. Like it's as simple as that. Patrick Mahomes must win MVP or something is wrong.
Wow. You want to elaborate on that a little bit, Will?
It's Patrick friggin' Mahomes. He's had multiple 5
It's
touchdown
Russell
games.
freaking Wilson.
It'll be maybe we'll see a closer MVP race than we normally do in most years, but I'm definitely sticking with Mahomes.
Look, and the other thing we need to consider is that in an MVP race, the race is decided upon 50 people. It's 50 voters who decide it, which is actually half of what it is for NBA and NHL. So it's more people, more opinions. Things can fluctuate, things can sway, and we got to see what the rest of the season is. But for now, Russell Wilson. And I think me and Mike have talked about this. MVP, if you don't know, stands for most valuable player. Okay.
I think that's Pat Mahomes.
An MVP should be a person where if they didn't have this player, they probably wouldn't be very good. To me, that's what an MVP is.
Where would the Chiefs be at without Mahomes, do you think?
500.
I think they'd be in a better spot than the Seahawks would be.
Then
my
really, it's honestly really close.
My agreement with Pat stems from the fact that Russell Wilson needs to throw the ball more than Patrick Mahomes does because Wilson has a bottom 5 defense where Mahomes has probably a top 10 defense. The Chiefs are really good defensively. He doesn't really need to pass the ball.
Defense doesn't I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Defense doesn't really predict how well you're going to do on offense as much. I think I missed your line of reasoning there.
No, I know what you're trying to say, and I agree with you. I just think Patrick Mahomes can find himself in games where his defense is only giving up 15 to 20 points, right? So Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to go out and put up 35, 40 points a game. Wilson will sometimes find himself in games where the defense is giving up 30 to 35 points. So he'll have to go out and put up 40 points. So that's why I think, obviously Tyler Lockett's a great receiver. DK Metcalf is a little overhyped, but is a great receiver. They have a solid run game, even though Chris Carson's not healthy right now. That's all well and good. But Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, just Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, the weapons
McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins.
I know. I'm just throwing in pieces.
I wouldn't consider them weapons.
I'd
definitely say Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Those are 2 huge pieces of their offense. Tight ends, I think he would be consistent without Mahomes. I don't think any of the wide receivers would be consistent without Mahomes. Edwards-Helaire may still keep up his production. No, I think Mahomes' deep ball is absolute. It's like nastiness. It is so good.
Mahomes' deep ball is good, but I also think that's a test to Tyreek Hill's skill because obviously he's a deep threat player.
But
in total, I think, of course, and I was just going to say, but in total,
I have a Lockett too.
If you look at the Chiefs' weapons and you look at the Seahawks' weapons, I think the Chiefs have better weapons, and I think Russell Wilson is doing more with those weapons this season when you look at the stats. Russell Wilson's my MVP.
I got Pat Mahomes.
Actually, hold on.
Mike,
Patrick Mahomes
obviously.
25 touchdowns and 1 interception.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's kind of one of those
interception
where it's like in the NBA, right? You can give it to LeBron James every year. He's the MVP every season. You can give it to him. It's just, is somebody going to be able to outperform him? And I think Patrick Mahomes is becoming that quarterback in the NFL. I think you can give Patrick Mahomes the MVP every season. You could give Patrick Mahomes the MVP last year. You could have.
Yes.
He missed a few games. He was still number 1 in a lot of statistics, even with missing 2 or 3 games, whatever it was.
Yes. But here's the thing.
Lamar Jackson
when it comes to people,
him.
Sometimes not even that. The panel of voters don't like voting for the same person twice.
Yeah.
First of all, that's something you also
Lamar
have to
is
consider.
just not getting it this year. We can agree on that.
They don't like voting for the same person twice. So first of all, I think that's why Mahomes didn't get it last season, and also Lamar's just sick. I still think Wilson also is so overdue, and I think that's also is taken into consideration.
He hasn't
Wilson is overdue.
He is very overdue. Hasn't received. I heard that the other day. Hasn't received 1 vote. However, in 5 of Patrick Mahomes' 9 games, he's passed over 300 yards. He's had 3 games. Hold on, not 3. maybe 4 games over 4 touchdowns.
It's
I don't know.
impressive.
It's really impressive. I can't see it going in any other direction.
All right.
So I have mine's being separated into should get it and will get it. I think Patrick
Okay.
Mahomes should get it, but I think Russell Wilson's going to get it.
Mine's flip-flopped.
Really?
Wow.
Wilson is overdue. Probably should, but it's got to be Mahomes.
Okay.
All right. I got should and will both going to Wilson.
All right.
Mike, you want to hit us with a quick 2-minute warning?
All right, so obviously, ladies and gentlemen, started out with a Patriots victory. It's been over a month. Don't usually say that very often, but it's been over a month since the Patriots have scored more points than the other team in 60 minutes. It's sad it had to come to the Jets and it had to be that close, but here we are. Next week we got the Ravens game. It's gonna be a good one. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't think the Patriots have enough to be able to overcome them. Then jump into fantasy football. Just to recite one more time, my buy low is going to be who was it? Who's my buy low? I'm completely forgetting who it was.
Come on, Mike.
I'm forgetting. But my sell high was Will Fuller. I remember that. I'll get back to it. Pats, who was yours again?
My 2 were Jonathan Taylor and Adam Thielen.
That's right. Will?
Nick Chubb, Jacoby Myers, both I'd say low value trades, stream options. Yep.
Zeke, that was my buy low. Zeke Elliott, my buy low. Then we talked about MVP winners. We differed a little bit. I don't usually sway my decision that much, but Will got me. Will is very convincing. All right, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I think he deserves it. Pat's staying stuck on Russell Wilson. I don't blame him. He's a MVP. I think both those players can win MVP.
Fantastic football
and you
player.
can't be mad with either of them winning it, which is a great thing. And Will's a firm believer in Patrick Mahomes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up this week's episode of the 411 podcast. I'm Pat Daly signing off.
Michael Quattromani signing off.
And Will Casey signing off.
This is the 411 podcast, and we'll see you next time. Hey-o! Very nice. Good stuff.